I call this sermon Mercy or Judgment. You decide. I'm starting with Proverbs chapter 6, verses 30 and 31. Men do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. Dr. J. Vernon McGee used this text to illustrate the difference between sin that comes from weakness or desperation, like hunger, versus sin that comes from willful rebellion, as in the following verses which talk about adultery and moral folly. He would often say something like, and this is a paraphrase, "If my little boy were hungry, and there were no other way, I might be tempted to steal a loaf of bread to feed him, and I'd expect to pay it back sevenfold. God understands hunger, but he doesn't excuse sin." In other words, Dr. McGee didn't justify stealing, but he humanized it. He used that proverb to show how God distinguishes between motives. Even though both the act of stealing and other sins are still wrong, the hungry man is pitied, the adulterer or proud man is despised, because his sin is born from lust or arrogance, not need. The USA is about to see that very principle play out in real life. And the fact of the matter is, the ones that are losing their food stamps because of the government shutdown are not the ones at fault. They have been conditioned into the welfare system over generations. The real cause is the Federal Reserve Act, which allows fractional reserve banking, which has created more money than U.S. mints ever did. That's the cause of inflation, which has been slowly stealing the wealth of the laborers who actually worked for it. It's so bad now that it's basically impossible for the average citizen to earn enough money to pay for housing and food and clothing and transportation. To yank the means of support out from under these people is nothing but cruel and unjust. Yet the government will lock them in chains and cages if they steal food to feed their family. Proverbs 11, verse 1. A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. What's unfolding isn't just an economic issue, it's a fractally moral one. Let's look at it through that lens. 1. Fractality. The pattern repeats across scales. At the smallest scale, a hungry man may steal food. At the largest, institutions mint money through debt, inflating away real value and stealing purchasing power from every worker. Both are theft, but one is born of desperation, the other of greed. The pattern is the same act, taking what isn't rightfully yours, but inverted motives show two spiritual lineages. The bride pattern, that is, survival under oppression, versus the beast pattern, oppression itself. 2. Recursivity. The cause and effect loop. Fractional reserve banking creates a recursive system where debt begets more debt, and each cycle consumes the poor to feed the powerful. That's the Babel recursion, man trying to ascend by economic alchemy rather than divine provision. Eventually, the system collapses under its own falsity, and those at the bottom, not the architects, bear the cross. The very people deprived of bread are then condemned for theft, even though the system itself stole first. 3. Self-similarity across scale. What happens in an unjust nation mirrors the fall in Eden. Trust broken leads to scarcity perceived, leads to self-provision through sin. Just as Adam grasped for forbidden fruit to be like God, modern systems grasp for endless growth through fiat currency. Both claim to solve need without returning to God as provider. 4. Relational harmony. When government or banking no longer serves the people, relational harmony breaks. Instead of shepherding the flock, the shepherds shear them bare. True governance should mirror Christ's model, authority used to feed the sheep, not to fatten wolves. 5. Unity plus distinction. The poor and the rich are both made in God's image, but their moral distinction arises in how they handle power and provision. The righteous steward multiplies bread to share, bride pattern. The beast multiplies debt to enslave. The Lord has always judged nations for this kind of economic oppression. Amos chapter 8, verses 4 through 6. Hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances by deceit, that we may buy the poor for silver, and the needy for a pair of shoes, yea, and sell the refuse of the wheat. Luke chapter 6, verses 36 through 38. Therefore be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. Judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be put into your bosom. For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. As I look out over the United States, I see nothing but echo chambers. The left hates the right hates the left. Both are in the wrong. The church in America is no better. Every group of Christians believes it has the truth, and everyone else is going to hell. That mentality is nothing but divisive. It destroys relational harmony. There is no grace and mercy in that. Jesus said, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first commandment. And the second like it is this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. I have laid before you life or death, a blessing or a curse, the bride or the beast. We are either one nation under God or a nation gone under. And if the United States falls, the whole world falls with it. So which is it going to be? The mercy of God or the judgment of God? You decide. And I will end with this, because I've learned that it is not just a ritualistic chant, as many have treated it, because when it is prayed with conviction, it is a prophetic declaration of your agreement with the will of God. And with everything that is happening in this time, it could not be more fitting than in this moment of history. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.